Aaliyah Boston looks right at Caitlin Clark on the Post Moves podcast, signed with the team until 2029 and clearly glowing about it. And she just says, "Fever till 2029? Hey, I love playing with you." That was the moment everyone was waiting for. It was the perfect layup, and the entire Indiana Fever front office just needed Clark to smile, nod, and say something warm back to her teammate. Instead, Clark looked back and said, "Yeah, well, I'm only signed till next year, unless I sign my Epic extension." The room went quiet for a second while Boston tried to brush it off. But that one sentence is the most important thing Clark has said all season. Almost nobody is talking about what her words actually mean. So let's break down the contract math, the leverage play, and exactly what the Fever have done to push their franchise player to this point. Drop your take in the comments. Does Clark sign her extension and stay, or does she pack her bags and take her talents somewhere that actually deserves them?
Caitlin Clark does not have to stay with the Indiana Fever. Caitlin Clark joined Aaliyah Boston and Candace Parker on their podcast, Post Moves. Great episode, by the way. And there was something that I noticed. Caitlin Clark was not committing to the Indiana Fever long-term when her and Aaliyah Boston talked about Aaliyah Boston's contract.
The Post Moves podcast, hosted by Candace Parker and Aaliyah Boston, had a relaxed, fun energy, the kind of conversation where everyone is laughing and nobody has their guard up. Clark comes on as a guest to talk about pick and rolls, scouting reports, and her competitive drive, and it starts out as genuinely fun stuff. Then Boston brings up her own contract extension because she is proud of it, and the conversation naturally turns toward the future of the team. Boston opted into her deal and is locked in through 2029, and she is clearly happy about it, so she turns to Clark and basically asks her to tell everyone she is staying too. That was the exact PR moment the franchise needed to settle the fans. The script for a moment like that usually writes itself, where the star player laughs and says something like, "Yeah, obviously I'm not going anywhere," which makes the fans lose their minds in the comments and everyone feels good. Instead of following that script, Clark paused and reminded everyone that she is only signed until next year. Boston tried to wave the comment away by saying they would figure it out, but Clark doubled down.
She's on that till 2029. 2029.
Yeah,
Are
no,
you
that's
with
what
the
I'm
Fever
saying.
till 2029?
Hey, I love playing with you.
Yeah, well, I'm only signed till...
Yeah. Don't worry about that.
Well, next year.
Don't worry
too.
about that. We'll figure that out.
Unless I sign my Epic.
Candace Parker jumped in fast to call it a technicality, and Boston played it cool. But here is what nobody wants to say out loud. Clark did not commit to the team when she had every opportunity to squash the noise, and she chose not to take that chance. The Epic contract is the Supermax extension for the WNBA, and it is available to players on rookie deals who have earned all WNBA status. It represents the biggest money the league can offer, and usually, when that contract gets put on the table, players sign it immediately. That is just how the business works, because you do not leave that kind of generational money sitting there unless something is seriously wrong with the place where you are playing. Clark has certainly earned that money by averaging 24 points, 9 assists, and 5 rebounds this season. She is playing some of the best basketball in the entire league while the organization around her stumbles, so she isn't hesitating because she doesn't want the paycheck. She is hesitating because she is looking at what she would be locking herself into for the next several years, and it is becoming clear that she doesn't like what she sees.
Caitlin Clark needs to get the hell out of the Indiana Fever's organization. It's too much sabotage. It's too much malpractice. It's too much going on that is beyond Stephanie White, and that includes Amber Cox and Kelly Crosskoff, as it seems like those three are in lockstep and attached at the hip.
If you compare her response to Boston's, the difference is massive. Boston was enthusiastic and immediate with zero hesitation, and she opted in without any drama because she feels good about where this franchise is heading. Clark left the door cracked open on national audio, and that gap between those two reactions tells you everything you need to know about the internal temperature of this team right now. Here is the thing you have to understand about Clark specifically. She is not careless with her words, and as a marketing major out of Iowa who is surrounded by advisors, she is fully aware that anything she says on a podcast with Candace Parker gets clipped and posted within the hour. She knew exactly what she was doing when she mentioned that epic contract, That was not a slip of the tongue, but a message delivered calmly in the middle of a friendly conversation directly to the people in Indianapolis who needed to hear it. The money was never the issue for her, because the real question is what she would be signing up for. And right now, the answer to that question is the problem.
When it comes down to this contract, obviously, you know, you have the epic option to sign for all the extra money if you have made an WNBA team during your rookie contract. And Aaliyah Boston opted into hers. Caitlin Clark was not committal on opting into her own epic deal. And I think she needs to do this. She needs to let the Indiana Fever know, I will walk. I will walk. Y'all get y'all stuff together. Stop putting your damn hands on me. Stop touching me.
Why would a player who averages 24 points and 9 assists every single night even think about walking away? The answer is simple, because the coaching staff is actively working against her, and the evidence is getting impossible to ignore. Stephanie White stood in front of a room full of reporters and said, out loud, that she wants to run the offense through Dira Dantas and Misha Hines-Allen in the half court. She didn't say Clark, and she didn't say Aaliyah Boston. Dantas and Hines-Allen are the two players currently averaging about 1 point per game. Yet White framed this as a way to get them more involved in the offense. She talked about using them as hard divers and treating them like legitimate scoring options, just like she treats Boston.
She came through the league, turned it up, and got everybody paid. Everybody eats, B. Everybody eats. Caitlin Clark came through and did that. And all you've done, you focus so much on trying to be Apple. All you've done is try to promote all your other products like Kelsey Mitchell and Raven Johnson, and you're talking about running offense through Damiris Dantas and Misha Hines. What the hell are y'all doing over there?
Maybe you could spin that as some kind of noble team-building exercise potential to Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray. And if you watch the tape, she is absolutely right. Boston can pass the ball and read the floor faster than almost anyone at her position. And she shoots well enough now that defenses cannot just sag off and ignore her.
That's going to be like the Jokic-Murray pick and roll.
Yeah.
Let's call it what it is.
I mean, everything you just listed, AB can do. And like, that's why I think she's so dangerous. Like, there's nobody in my eyes in the league that plays her position that can do, like, obviously there's post players in this league that can score, that can rebound, but AB can pass. Like, that's missing from a lot of people's games that play her position. And then also, like, her IQ is also taken for granted. Like, people don't understand, like, she's just a smart player. Like, even
Every time Clark comes off a ball screen, she drags 2 defenders with her, which opens up the spacing and the angles for a deadly 2-man game. The architecture for a championship-level offense exists right now in Indiana, but instead of building it, White is busy talking something else entirely. A camera caught White grabbing Clark by the arm during a timeout and yanking her physically to redirect her attention. Clark actually talked about physicality on that same podcast, saying the #1 thing on every scouting report against her is to get into her and make her uncomfortable. She fights through that kind of rough play every single possession on the floor. And then she gets back to the huddle, only to have her own coach putting hands on her. This was not some heat-of-the-moment mistake, because coaches do not just grab their best players by the arm by accident. It shows a pattern of how White relates to Clark, and it tells you everything you need to know about the toxic dynamic inside that program.
I feel like I do, like, probably a lot of, like, meditation, a lot of breathing work. I journal a lot. You know, I have a sports psychologist that I work with, like, doing everything I can to make sure my mind's in the right place, because, like, you have all the physical skills. Like, that's why you're in the league. Like, that's why you are one of 160 players or whatever it is now. Like, this is a really hard league to play in. It's, you know, just making sure your mind is right. And sometimes that's the harder part of it.
During that interview, Clark mentioned that she journals, does breathing work, and meets with a sports psychologist just to keep her head right. She is doing everything possible to handle pressure that would crack most people, from managing the global spotlight to taking physical punishment from defenders. She is doing all of that hard work while her own sideline adds more friction to her life instead of removing it. The excuse people keep making for Stephanie White is that she just needs more time to figure things out. They say this is her first full season with a healthy Clark, and that chemistry takes longer than fans want to admit. While it is true that no coach is perfect in March, there is a massive difference between a coach finding her footing and a coach whose behavior suggests she cares more about her philosophy than winning games. White keeps signaling that this team does not run through any one player. But when you have one of the best players on the planet in your starting lineup, that philosophy is not humility. It is coaching malpractice.
What the hell are y'all doing? This organization, that's why I said, I'm glad she didn't go on and commit to signing on Aaliyah Boston's podcast. Hold their fucking feet to the fire. Hold their feet to the fire, man. They got you down here with the 5th best attendance. 5th. This Indiana Fever organization has absolutely blown it. This is mind-boggling. You got the goat of all goats, the cash cow, the tide that has lifted all boats. This girl got everybody paid.
The coaching situation would be bad enough on its own, but the front office has been running a separate disaster right alongside it. Together, these two groups have taken the most valuable asset in women's basketball and turned it into something fans are actively choosing to skip. Just look at the attendance numbers from last year compared to right now. In 2024, the Indiana Fever were the hottest ticket on the entire planet. And I am not just talking about the WNBA. Every single home game at Gainbridge Fieldhouse was a complete sellout, and road games had to be moved into 20,000-seat NBA arenas just to handle the crowds. Fans were paying hundreds or even thousands of dollars on the secondary market just to sit in the nosebleeds and watch Clark pull up from the logo. The Fever led the entire league in attendance, merchandise sales, and social media engagement, and they were even outperforming most NBA franchises in video views. The league's new multi-billion-dollar television deal only happened because that massive wave of momentum was behind them.
We will not be supporting this like before. You guys are selling thousands and thousands less tickets per game than you were before. And you got nobody to blame but yourselves. This is ridiculous. This is mind-boggling. And this organization, I think Caitlin Clark needs to seriously consider walking away from the Indiana Fever.
Now, the Fever have dropped to 5th in WNBA attendance, which is a staggering fall from grace. A brand new expansion team in Golden State is drawing bigger crowds than Indiana, and even the Atlanta Dream is pulling more interest on the road. The Fever fell from the top of the mountain to the middle of the pack in less than 2 years, and the organization has nobody to blame but the people in charge. This is not an accident because accidents do not happen this consistently. The Indiana Fever have decided at an organizational level that leaning into Clark too much makes them look like a one-player team. They keep trying to engineer situations where other players get the spotlight, and the result is exactly what you would expect. The casual fans who showed up specifically to see Clark have stopped coming, and the old-school fans who were there before her are not enough to fill those empty seats. Since the fans are staying home, the front office has started running desperate promotions to get people through the doors. They are offering free tenderloin sandwiches, free oil changes, furniture raffles, and even housing repairs just to get warm bodies in the arena. A professional sports franchise with one of the most marketable athletes in the world is now partnering with local mechanics to give away tire rotations. 1 year ago, people were paying record-breaking resale prices just to get inside the building, and now the front office is basically giving away living room sets.
Don't sign that epic deal. Pack your bags and go elsewhere. Walk away from them. I mean, if they don't get it together, you got to hold their feet to the fire. I would, coach, get out of my way. Y'all gonna start promoting me like I am the greatest player, because I am, and I'm the face of this league, point blank, period. There's nobody that draws like Caitlin Clark. Look at the viewership. And you will be treated as such, or else you could leave they ass. Leave.
The fans who walked away are not doing it because they lost interest in basketball. These are the same people who bought season tickets and traveled across the country to follow this team during the peak of the hype. They are making a deliberate choice with their wallets because they watch this organization treat Clark like a problem to be managed rather than a gift to be celebrated. That is not a fan base drifting away naturally, but rather an organized financial verdict on how poorly this franchise is being run. The coaches are failing her on the court every night, and the front office is failing her off the court every day. Clark understands her own leverage better than anyone gives her credit for, and she is quickly the Fever's attendance revenue, their TV exposure, their corporate partnerships, and their massive merchandise numbers all flow from her being in that building. She knows it, they know it, and she just said it out loud on a podcast with 200,000 people listening.
Caitlin Clark needs to find a way to get to Toronto with Sandy Brondello. I would love for Caitlin to go play with Sandy.
The alternatives for her aren't just theories or rumors. The Toronto expansion franchise is coming into the league with no legacy roster and no entrenched culture, and they have a desperate need for a face of the team. That is a blank canvas for someone like Clark who wants to build something from scratch on her own terms, especially in a market that would treat her arrival like a founding moment rather than a management headache. Then you have to look at Golden State. The Valkyries are built on the exact philosophy Clark thrives in, which means lots of perimeter shooting, floor spacing, and guards with the ball in their hands making big decisions. She wouldn't need to reshape the system to fit her game because she would walk in and the system would already fit her perfectly.
You know what I mean? Listen, I think Caitlin Clark should hold off on re-signing with the Indiana Fever. If she's going to re-sign, you hold off to the very last minute. You hold their damn feet to the fire until they do right by you. Hold their damn feet to the fire and you make them do right by you.
Indiana knows all of this, and the math of losing her isn't complicated at all. Without Clark, the Fever don't draw 15,000 people, they don't get 38 national television games, and they certainly don't move merchandise at 1,000% above the baseline. They would go right back to playing in front of 3,000 people in an arena that echoes. She didn't just lift the Fever, she lifted the salary cap and the television deal and the entire financial structure of the league. Any franchise in the WNBA would clear cap space, fire their coaching staff, and hand her a blank organizational chart if she even hinted she was available. So the Fever have one off-season to get this right. Not two, just one. Either the coaching staff gets rebuilt around what she actually needs, or the front office keeps running promotions for free sandwiches while the best player in the league quietly explores her options. Clark isn't demanding anything publicly because she doesn't need to. She said, "Unless I sign my epic in a friendly podcast conversation," and that one little sentence landed like a warning shot through a boardroom window. The leverage is real, it is growing, and the clock is running. Free Caitlin Clark. The fans are already saying it with their empty seats, and now she is saying it with her unsigned contract. The Fever have the most valuable player in women's basketball, and they are actively pushing her toward the exit. Drop your take in the comments. Does Clark sign her extension and stay, or does she pack her bags and take her talent somewhere that actually deserves them? Like, subscribe and hit the bell notification, because this situation moves fast, and we are covering every development in real time.